This episode is brought to you by Stouffer's. Here comes three-time juggling champion Natalia Rogers. She's juggling law school, her TA job. Oh, narrowly catches the laundry. What's that fourth ball? Parents unexpectedly showed up at dinner time? Is that too much for Natalia? Not with Stouffer's Chicken Alfredo and its mouth-watering mix of Asiago, Romano, and Parmesan. When you're juggling four things at once and the clock strikes dinner, think Stouffer's.
We've spotted my father's shadow on the Chronology of Water, so we're sending help from Stitchhead, and Hamlet's Twinless on the day the Earth blew up. I'm Van Connor.
And I'm Adam Ball, and this is Offscreen, your 7-day guide to everything movies.
Boom!
Groovy.
Hello and welcome back to another week of Offscreen, and boy oh boy have we got some movies for you, so much so that we're not doing we'll have time to do the top 10, but we've got 2, 4, 6, 7 brand new movies to talk about today, including Send Help, My Father's Shadow, but we are going to start with a movie that has what I would class as the most boring title in the world. Hopefully the movie isn't boring. The Chronology of Water.
No. The most boring title in the world is the 2007-2008 Reese Witherspoon thing, Like Water for Elephants, or something like that. Like, that's like, who cares? Like, you bored me with the title. Right, so this is the directorial debut of one Miss Kristen Stewart, she of Twilight and Panic Room ilk. Also the Charlie's Angels reboot a while back, and that's about all I can remember of her offhand off the top of my head. There was one I really liked a few years ago. Love Lies Bleeding as well. Well, she has written for the screen this adaptation of Lydia, I think it's Yuknovich, as bestseller from, I think it's 2011. So she's directed it, she's written the adaptation. It stars Imogen Poots, and like the book it's adapted from, it is a biographical psychodrama, ostensibly written by Yuknovich about herself, and follows the story of a young woman who is an Olympic swimmer, hopeful, is coming from an abusive childhood, runs away to college, where the freedom that comes with, that taste of life, that sort of, that taste of freedom, as it were, sends her spiraling off the deep end and onto a journey of self-discovery that will take, well, as is true of anyone, literally decades. We haven't got a clip for reasons that are going to make complete sense as I now tell you what the film is like. Right, the film is not bad. Right, I was engaged by it. I'd never read the original novel. I knew of it. But first things first, I mean, it's an 18, it's 2 hours, 8 minutes. It's a debut, feature directorial effort from an actor, particularly someone who's been a child actor, who's grown up on film sets, that there's going to come with a certain art house aspiration from that. And boy, do you get that art house aspiration. So first of all, Stewart is not a bad director. Like, she's actually got some pretty good inventive ideas in there, and the stylization of this manages to be both quite intriguing and fascinating, but also equal parts truly thunderingly annoying and infuriating. And then in the middle of it all, you have this great performance from Imogen Poots, like a fantastic showcase for Imogen Poots, and a story that really is quite compelling and takes you along with it. So, minor annoyances aside, I call it a win. I didn't feel like it was overlong or anything like that. It has some quite surprising casting turns in there, which I suppose must come down to, its director being kind of a degree of Hollywood royalty to a level these days. But you've also got, for instance, in there, Jim Belushi, who's kind of a comeback story in there. You've also got Thora Birch, who, was a child actress, was going to be a teen actress, and then sort of, was and never was, for reasons I believe had to do with her father. And they are both prominently featured in this. So there is a degree of sort of the forgotten Hollywood being brought to this as well, which you do think makes complete sense from a directorial debut of, someone who's been an actor since childhood, been an actor for 20-odd years and still only in their 30s, kind of thing. So I would call it a win. I enjoyed it.
I feel like this is, from what how you've explained it, one of these kind of movies that makes you look within, and actually, for the whole movie, there's parts of it that we can all relate to at some point.
Yeah, the self-destructive aspect of both the protagonist on the screen and in the story is one of those that you do find heartbreaking parallels to some people you've known or yourself. It's quite well done. Like, it is very well and very effectively done. Like, Poots is genuinely terrific. And I'm not terribly shocked. Like, Poots is never disappointing in anything. The problem is she's just never usually in particularly great movies. So yeah, you know, this is in the upper echelon of her filmography. That has to be said.
The Chronology of Water is out in cinemas from now if you want to go and check it out yourself.
Sorry, I should explain. The reason we didn't have a clip for that, by the way, is it's not really a dialogue-heavy movie. Like, I said about those art house aspirations. Like, yeah, it really flows, and like you watch one scene while listening to another kind of thing. It plays like that all the time, and sequences flashback as they're taking place. It's kind of strange in that way, but it works. Like I say, I wasn't bored by it.
No, that makes absolute sense because it wouldn't make any sense to us just listening to a clip. Okay, on to our second movie already this week, My Father's Shadow, also out in cinemas from today. Another drama then.
Yeah, this one, no clip because not in English. Just so we're clear. Okay, so this is set on the last day of the 1993 Nigerian elections. Which, if you don't know, I don't know if you remember the history from the time. It was, you know, rife with corruption. Democracy was more or less cancelled on the day because of allegations of, well, false allegations, it would seem, by a corrupt regime of vote tampering. Ballot tampering. Stop me if any of this sounds familiar, by the way, or anything you've heard in the contemporary news in recent times. This sounds like, when you watch this film, it comes flooding back. And I've heard this recently. So it is about two young boys who go on a day trip to the capital with their estranged father. It's one of those situations where he goes and works away, like 2 hours away, kind of an idea. Goes on the bus, goes 2 hours, goes and works, comes back a week later or a couple of weeks later. It's kind of a family dynamic. The mum is nowhere to be seen, that we're immediately told of. And they follow him into the capital on this one day, the last day of the 1993 Nigerian election, ostensibly because he is owed money by his employer. And he's just going to pick up his check. And he's about how they spend the day together, both emotionally with each other and also against this backdrop of all the political turmoil and civil unrest going on in Nigeria on that particular day in 1993, which, again, if you remember the news of the time, was interesting to say the least. Yeah. I mean, do you remember that time? Do you remember that point in history?
I do vaguely. I would have been like 11, 12 years old, and I remember the news reports. I remember seeing and watching the trailer as we speak, and I remember seeing kind of those kind of images around that time. But I was too young to understand reasons as to why, really.
Yeah, kind of the same, to be honest. This is also the sort of writing directorial debut of British Nigerian artist Akinola Davis Jr., whose body of work I'm not overly familiar with, because that would require me to be way more cultured than I am. That's not a reflection of the artist; it's a reflection of this person talking about the artist and my limited tableau. But yeah, Akinola Davis Jr. Making his debut here, and you get the sense of there being a feel of semi-autobiographical storytelling going on here. Like this feels like something akin to, especially if you look at the age of Akinola Davis Jr. and when this is taking place, this feels like it's rooted in stories that he has grown up with or has, had friends and family members grow up through as well. And that feeling is palpable. It's a really emotional movie. You get swept along in this dynamic between these two boys and their father, and as he tries to impart sort of fatherly wisdom into them whilst being quite a flawed character himself. I think it's very well done. I think it maybe races to its finish line a little bit too harshly for my liking. Like, I could have done with a good 5 more minutes on the end of this to kind of really soak up the emotional note it wants to go out on. But I think a really sterling debut. If this is something, both of these movies have been, someone's first movie. We've got an actor and an artist making their first movies, and it's an interesting depiction of what you're getting there, which are very grounded, very human, very emotional stories. So I'd say they're a good pair I'd like to see this weekend.
And a really important movie to make, I think, because there are things happening or that have happened in the world that need explanations and need different angles and point of views.
Yeah, it's funny how these things swing back, isn't it? These things come back in a fashion. Yeah, because there was a lot of the dialogue of the time that suddenly starts to sound very familiar, and it's the context in which it's played in this movie obviously points out the lunacy of the context you've most recently heard it in reality. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. No, I couldn't agree more. Well, that's My Father's Shadow, and if you want to check that one out, it's in cinemas from today. Still to come then, we're going to look at Send Help, and next we're going to look at an animated comedy called Stitchhead. We'll see what Van thought next.
They always tell you there's a catch, a compromise, an asterisk. Terms apply. See store for details. May be less than advertised. May vary by mood. Probably. Sprite Zero Sugar? It's different. It's the lemon lime flavored refreshment you want with zero sugar. So, no fast voice? No caveats. Just refreshment. This is Sprite Zero Sugar. Obey your thirst.
Hello and welcome back to Off Screen then. Loads more movies still to look at with Van. We're going to look at the new Hamlet. We're going to look at The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie. One of the longest titles I think I've ever had to say on this show. And Send Help in a minute. But first, an animated comedy by the name of Stitchhead. And I've already told Van, I nearly said something else, but it's not.
The other head, yeah.
Yeah, it's Stitchhead, which looks fun.
Yeah, and you know what it is? So this is a fun, breezy kind of just over like a minute over 90 minutes kind of animated fantasy horror comedy for children. So think of it as something like a younger skewing Hotel Transylvania or Igor or Paranorman. You know, those kinds of movies where they are very child-friendly, but they're set in the world of like the Wolfman and Frankenstein and Dracula and things like that. Now, in this particular case, we follow effectively the Igor character for a Dr. Frankenstein type. Only he has specifically been called Stitchhead, and seemingly has been forgotten by his creator, who is just tunnel-visioned and setting about his continued Frankenstein-like experiments to try and create life out of various animal monster hybrids. And no sooner does he forget, as he created them, that he sort of finds a defect on them, casts them aside, in his mind, supposedly to their death, and he sort of forgets about them, despite the fact that Stitchhead has been running back and forth into this laboratory, kind of sweeping them away into like an underground railroad witness protection kind of program, and putting them in their own little house on the grounds, and telling them, don't go outside, don't do monster stuff, because there's a village down the bottom of the hill, and if they see you, they'll respond to you by forming an angry mob, and angry mobs kill monsters. So the monsters are, naturally programmed to be terrified of angry mobs. One day, a circus passes through town, and the ringleader shows Stitchhead all the attention and appreciation that his creator, who, remember, barely acknowledges that he exists and seems to have forgotten that he does, that his creator doesn't. So Stitchhead is lured into a life in the circus, leaving his monster friends behind to fend for themselves in his absence, until eventually they just can't take it anymore and they've got to go and get him back. So I've got a clip for you. Now, before I do this, I will just contextualize this for you. Stitchhead is voiced by Asa Butterfield from Hugo and Ender's Game. Creature, who is the main one of the monsters, is voiced by Joel Fry from Plebs. You know, the guy with the afro in Plebs.
Yeah,
is the main monster. And you'll recognize that voice immediately when I play this clip. You will also recognize a certain other voice, namely one belonging to a formerly tea-swilling, monkey-friendly comedian. Have a listen.
And so, by staying quiet and out of sight, the monsters were safe. But then Stitchhead left for the town, so now it's only a matter of time before the angry mob comes to burn their castle to the ground, and then they won't almost live happily ever after, ever again. Sorry.
So, are we just meant to huddle here, clutching each other in pure terror?
Yeah?
Good plan.
Is that Johnny Vegas by any chance?
That's exactly it. Yeah, it's Johnny Vegas. Recognize her in a second, don't you?
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, the film is quite fun. Like I say, it's a younger skewing movie than, for instance, Paranorman or even Hotel Transylvania or the most recent two animated Addams Family movies. For instance, this skews younger. But as you can sort of get from that clip, the choice of how they've cast this, which I will get to more of in a minute, but the choice of how they've cast it and the tone that they've gone for, which is quite morbid, quite macabre, but also quite uniquely British as well, kind of leads this on balance to come out actually a lot more fun than it has any right to be. It doesn't have like the spit and polish of like your big mainstream expensive studio ones like Hotel Transylvania or Paranorman or anything like that, because Paranorman was Leica, I believe. This doesn't have anywhere near that spit and polish, but I looked up the company before we went in. I was chatting to the publicist. Who's the distributor on this? Who's the people behind this? She went, oh, this is Kazoo Films. I feel like I know them, but I don't know why. And they'd only made like really quite Paw Patrol-ish looking stuff prior to this. So this is quite a technological leap up for them. But also, I think on the writing level, looking at the other kind of bits of content they've put out, this seems like an enhanced game. Alongside Johnny Vegas, you've also got Jamali Maddox, you've got Rob Brydon, you've got Fern Brady, people like that appearing in it. So there's loads of voices you will immediately recognize. I think Rob Brydon's the sleazy circus ringleader, I think. So yeah, you'll have fun with it. If your son watched this, you would have a good time with it, I think.
I love movies like this because normally they put in jokes that go over the kid's head, but the adults have a little chuckle. I mean, are there many of those in it?
This is like Duckula level humor. If I said Duckula level humor to you, you know what I mean? Like this is one for because that's a character that hasn't seemingly been rebooted yet. Whatever happened to they keep doing Danger Mouse, but they don't touch Duckula.
That was great.
Yeah. I know, I miss Duckula. I used to like it when he and Danger Mouse would cross over. But Kiss Today, they've been robbed, I tell you. Anyway, no, I think not so much with the Shrek level innuendo, this one. Like I say, still quite young skewing. But I think the nature of the humour that it runs with will captivate you. I think that you would be on board. It's not one you'd put on for Albert and then nod off. It's one you'd like sort of, you'd half asleep sort of watch on the couch whilst chuckling, on your Sunday afternoon.
Well, Stitchhead is in cinemas from today if you want to go and see it. Right, our next movie, we are heading to a psychological horror. I already know what Van thinks of this. I don't want to give anything away. It's over to you.
So, Send Help is the new movie from, and I love saying this, it's the new movie from Sam Raimi. I live for a new movie from Sam Raimi. Sam Raimi won me over hard when I was a kid with the Evil Dead movies and Drag Me to Hell. I thought was a really underrated movie. I was having this conversation with Kermit the other day, actually. This is I think that is bizarrely one of the most overlooked movies of this century, Drag Me to Hell, and yet everyone saw it at the time. This is stylistically and tonally not far off of Drag Me to Hell. As in, this is Sam Raimi just going and doing a one and done psychological horror movie, but with all the bells and whistles of a Sam Raimi movie. So he has a very singular style of editing that he prefers. He likes a big Danny Elfman score. He likes that sort of Bill Pope photography. He likes a carousel fade montage, as I call it, where the camera sort of when Peter Parker's designing his costume in Spider-Man and the edit moves in that certain way. How, for instance, Evil Dead, he puts himself in the POV of the evil spirit, malevolently moving through the forest. Uniquely Sam Raimi things applied to the following plot, which is Rachel McAdams is a sort of dowdy, middle-aged millennial type. Not especially, much going for it. Kind of played like Selena Kyle at the start of Batman Returns, the downtrodden assistant type. Has been promised by her boss that she's going to get the next promotion that's coming up. He dies, and his douche bro nepo baby son, played by Dylan O'Brien, inherits the company, takes dad's spot, and when it comes time to give that promotion, gives it to one of his frat bros, who we spend a very short amount of time with, but it's more than enough to discover that you never want to encounter this person in the real world. She is then kind of demoralized, downtrodden. She's, trying to persuade him, and he says, he half-heartedly, cynically says, "Show me I'm wrong, come with me on this business trip." Effectively so that he can get her to do all the work, is how this is going to go. They then have a plane crash and land on a desert island, the only two survivors being Rachel McAdams and the douche bro boss. And the only problem is, well, she's a bit of an aspiring Girl Scout type, and he's a douchebag with a broken leg. How do you think this is going to go? Do you think the tables might turn very quickly whilst they wait to get rescued? Yeah. Have a listen. This is from Send Help.
Getting out of here.
You can't put that kind of weight on that yet.
You don't tell me what to do. How about that? You know what? You think you're so smart, Well, guess who you're talking to? CEO of a next-gen 500 company, baby. That's right.
A company your father built. God rest his soul.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. You know what? You're so done.
Huh?
Yeah, you're so fired.
Oh, am I?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I'm fired? Well, good luck getting food with a broken leg, my friend, would be my reply to that.
It's literally that. So, this is misery on a desert island. And when I say that, I mean Rachel McAdams, if you couldn't hear it in the clip, is literally doing the Annie Wilkes voice from Misery. Like, it's quite knowing about it. And the games of one-upmanship when the tables turn, like, you are so on her side all of this movie. It's literally like what would happen if the two characters from The Devil Wears Prada like landed on a desert island, and that's what you get here. Dylan O'Brien is very good in it. Getting to effectively lean into and play his sort of lantern-jawed image, but then give it a bit of nuance as we start to see him physically and psychologically break through all this. But the real fun here is Rachel McAdams. Because one of the inventive visual tricks they do for the movie is she thrives on this island. Right, without the sort of being downtrodden by the corporate structure, etc. She thrives. Like, if she physically starts to glow. Like, she starts out looking kind of, pasty-faced, little spotty kind of messy, mousy hair kind of thing in her cardigans, etc. And then when she spent enough time on the desert island, she looks like, goddess-level Rachel McAdams that we know and love. You know what I mean? But with this newly empowered dude and the skill set to actually really do something horrible with it should she be pushed that far. And the reveal as you start to get to know these two characters is quite intriguing. Like, the reveals that do sort of come to light are quite intriguing. She is worth the movie entirely on her own, though, but I don't want to shortchange Dylan O'Brien because it's a two-hander. Except that it's not really a two-hander. It's a two-hander with a third in the mix, and that, of course, is Sam Raimi, who, like, anybody would have made a half-decent version of this movie, right? This is, you're not really going lower than a 3-star kind of result on this movie and this concept, this story, etc. But it's when you have Sam Raimi be the guy behind it, the choices he makes, that bag of tricks that he has, like the weird little background cameos and things like that are in there that you only know if you've seen the Sam Raimi filmography, like the beige car that always has to appear, or the dead dad's portrait on the wall being a portrait of Bruce Campbell and things like that. It is really it's an absolute delight for a Sam Raimi fan, but I think even if you're not, you would struggle to come away from this thinking anything other than, wow, that's a motion picture. I had a good time with that. That was a fun movie. It's nasty, but it's fun, and it's so cathartic. I really enjoyed it. I can't recommend highly enough that you see it. Like, genuinely, it's a great Saturday night at the multiplex kind of movie.
100%, just from what you said, like, that is definitely a movie you're going to come out of the cinema just going, oh my god, that was amazing. I can't wait for it to come out. But at the moment, it's in the cinema, and it's in from today. It's called Send Help, if you do want to go and see it and check it out. 2 coming up. We're going to look at the new Hamlet, and next, The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie. We'll see what Van thought to that one. Stay where you are. Hello and welcome back to Off Screen then. We're going to dive straight into our next movie, and you know what? Porky Pig and Daffy Duck are back. So, this is The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie. It's in cinemas from today, and that's about all I know about it. But is it the real Porky Pig and Daffy Duck?
Did you mean to say that's all, folks? Is that what you meant to say?
Do you know what? I'd actually forgotten that's what he said. You're right.
Well, actually, funnily enough, that does come up in this movie. There's an origin story for that, weirdly. Okay, so this is a random sort of, solitary adventure set within the Looney Tunes universe, multiverse, whatever you want to call it, because there's not really a continuity to the Looney Tunes verse, is there? There's just there's the characters, and they can be anything. Like Daffy Duck can be, Duck Dodgers if he wants to. He can be whoever he wants. Bugs Bunny can be Robin Hood. That's just how the universe of Looney Tunes works. In this particular iteration, we follow Daffy Duck and Porky Pig, who have effectively been raised as kind of adopted brothers. They've been adopted and sort of raised by Farmer Jim, who is literalized for the screen as being the most godlike father figure anyone's ever seen. Who's the gay cartoon character that you see around Soho? Is it Tom of Soho? You know, the really sort of very butch, hyper-masculine gay cartoon character that you see around Soho? I think his name is Tom of Soho. I had to watch a documentary about him for this show about 4 years ago. That's how I know way too much about Tom of Soho. I think it was Tom of Soho. But Farmer Jim is kind of depicted as being kind of like that. He passes away and leaves the farmhouse to, you know, his two sons, Daffy and Porky, who have very differing personalities but sort of balance each other out. And on the day of the big inspection from the town council, for reasons, I don't know what the real estate infrastructure of this small town is, but the city gets to come and inspect your house every now and again. An alien spacecraft happens to whiz through their roof and leave a big hole in it, and the place gets condemned unless they can fix it up in a certain amount of time that they can't, you know, kind of prepare for. Meanwhile, there is, of course, the crashed alien, which starts to mount an invasion of the world, of which Daffy and Porky are the only people who can save us all. So have a listen. This is The Day the Earth Blew Up.
This is horrible! How did we not notice this giant hole in our roof? I don't know, but we can't survive if we lose our home. What would Farmer Jim think of this? This will not stand! We must investigate! Giant hole, missing roof, What's this? Ew! Hey, Porkman, what do you make of all this? It's probably related to the termite problem we've been putting off.
Do you know what? As soon as you pressed play on that, I felt 8 years old again.
Right? Yeah, there is. It's inescapably nostalgic, isn't it, Looney Tunes? Like even just the sound of it, and that's the thing, because this is boilerplate stuff that we've seen go direct to DVD many, many times over, or direct to streaming now. I think that was the intention for this at one point, but I'm glad it didn't, because there is something very nice about seeing this in cinemas, about seeing the Looney Tunes characters back in prominence, and also it being Looney Tunes characters who aren't bugs. Actually, is interesting. They're not Bugs or Tom and Jerry, because it's always those two first. Like, it's those two sets of characters. It's never particularly the Roadrunner first. Although, you know, we have got Coyote versus Acme coming out later this year, which is the sort of live-action CG hybrid with John Cena and Wile E. Coyote. I don't know if you're aware of this, but yeah, it was a whole controversy around it a couple of years ago for tax reasons. Warner Brothers tried to bury it. But this is pretty standard Looney Tunes fun. You know, it's not. It overstays its welcome a little bit because it's 92 minutes long. So you do kind of, and these are characters that you're used to watching for like 5 minutes max.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So they do obviously sustain 5-minute bursts, and the film works best when viewed as a series of those 5-minute shorts kind of strung together. But as a 90-minute film, it's the kind of thing I could see you putting it on for your son and him taking a break after half an hour. Like at his age, because he's what, like 6, 7 now? So yeah. So I'd see that being kind of, he'd stop after half an hour, kind of a thing. But I do think maybe a couple of years older than that, this should be a great family time out at the movies. It's the kind of thing I would have loved to have seen in cinemas when I was a kid. But and it's got, of course, got the requisite, you know, sci-fi gags and references to classic movies and things like that. There's a new love interest, a Porky Pig introduced, who's Petunia Pig, who's a scientist. Which did force me to did inadvertently force me to, you know, face some really strange questions about the sexuality of Porky Pig that I'd really never considered. But sure, I guess it's 2026. But you know, why can't Porky Pig have a sense of sexuality? Fine. But yeah, I'd say I enjoyed it. I don't think I'll ever watch it again.
Yeah, I get that. It's one of those things you'd watch, have a bit of a reminisce of good old days, and, you know, get taken back, and then that's it. But if you want to watch it, The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie, is in cinemas from today, and this might be the last chance you ever get to see Porky Pig on a cinema screen. You never know.
Technically not true, because I have to believe that he appears in Coyote versus Acme, which is to be released later this year. And also, let's not pretend they'll never make a Space Jam 3. They will try again. In another 10 years or another 20 years, they will try with a Space Jam 3.
Maybe. If you want to see it, it's out now. Okay, next then, we are looking at the new Hamlet. It's out in cinemas from today. This one's set in London, isn't it?
This is set in contemporary, you know, modern London. Right. So first of all, I'm sorry, but I keep getting disappointed on this. Every single time someone tells me there's going to be a new, theatrically released feature film version of Hamlet, a little part of me just prays that finally someone gave Arnold Schwarzenegger the money to go and make the feature length version of the movie that we saw in the movie Last Action Hero. You know, where he takes the Uzi into the Danish palace and like To Be or Not to Be, and the castle blows up behind him.
Yeah.
Like, that's the movie I want to see. But actually, this is not bad. So, as I said to you in advance, this was going to be the first contemporary version of Hamlet I'd ever seen. I've not seen the Ethan Hawke one from 2000, which I may now go and watch, depending on its runtime. This is an hour and 54 minutes long, which, let's be really honest for a second, you've been to a British school as a student, and so have I. We both damn well know that an hour and 54 minutes, regardless of quality, is a hell of a length to get Hamlet down to.
Yeah, what have they cut?
Exactly, right? Because let's be honest, Hamlet's not exactly a quick and breezy one, is it? They tend to meander a bit in Hamlet. An hour and 54 results. You've got my attention, Anil Karia. Sorry, I almost said Cardacaria. So Anil Karia is the director here for a contemporary set version of Hamlet. Let's just say massively truncates the text, because I'm reasonably sure you can't tell Hamlet in less than 4 hours with a real sense of accuracy, I don't think. This is cut down to an hour 54. The text has been truncated, but the Shakespearean dialogue has been kept.
Oh.
And it is set and filmed in the present day to look like it is taking place in sort of modern times, in the way that, for instance, Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet did in Verona Beach, except this is literally London, and the king is not the king of Denmark anymore. He is the he's the CEO of a property company, and his corrupt brother is played by Art Malik, no less. So Uncle Claudius in this version, Art Malik. Hamlet, Riz Ahmed. Have a listen. This is Hamlet.
I saw Ophelia.
Oh, my lord.
My father. My uncle is the cause of all this. There is a villain dwelling in our home here. To hell with allegiance. To be or not to be.
Woe is me to have seen what I have seen, to see what I have seen. It's common, my son. All that lives must die.
For me, I would ask the question, what is the point of it? And I'll say that very quickly because for me, I would love to watch a modern version of a Shakespearean play that means I understand it a bit better than watching a play of the Shakespearean play. But if they've had to cut so much out of the original to make this, it's not accurate. Therefore, I'm not learning anything. Therefore, I can't be bothered.
Actually, I think they've done a very good job with this. I actually think this was a really solidly entertaining film that I think has kept what it needed to of the source text. Now, my colleague Maria Duarte from the Morning Star was complaining, for instance, "Oh, you don't see Ophelia drown." Like, yeah, but you get presented with a dead body and told. So it's that level of storytelling here. Like, you can nitpick about this. I personally would rather they kept it under, the better part of the day in length. And I think Riz Ahmed's performance is an absolute banger. It's a great performance. By the way, the To Be or Not to Be monologue is done from behind the wheel of an Audi as he's driving at night. Like
that's a juxtaposed position.
Yeah, he's literally yelling at himself in the car. In terms of giving you the experience and a pretty decently sustainable level of knowledge for the text being referenced, this is actually a pretty good version of Hamlet to watch. Actually, I still don't think you'll ever get a GCSE kid in history to actually enjoy Shakespeare. And anyone who claims to is a kiss ass and a liar. But no, I don't think this is that. But hats off to them. It's got a sort of crazy, sexy, cool vibe. I was down with the pacing of it. I thought they kind of cut this down really well. I was down with it. I thought this was a really well done job.
Oh, they'll be showing this in every school next year for GCSE.
By the way, cast on this, by the way. Art Malik as Claudius, I already mentioned. Timothy Spall as Polonius. Laertes was Joe Arwen. And Morfydd Clark as Ophelia. That's quite, with Riz Ahmed as Hamlet. That's a pretty bloody good list of talent there, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
If you want to make your own mind up and only have to sit there for 2 hours to see what would be a 4-hour show. Minimum, yeah. 5 maybe. Hamlet is in cinemas from today. Right, we're on to our final movie. Next, we're going to look at the movie called Twinless. We'll see what Van thought of that one. It's a psychological drama, so looking forward to that. Stay there.
The world moves fast. Your workday, even faster. Pitching products, drafting reports, analyzing data. Microsoft 365 Copilot is your AI assistant for work. Built into Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and other Microsoft 365 apps you use. Helping you quickly write, analyze, create, and summarize. So you can cut through clutter and clear a path to your best work. Learn more at Microsoft.com/M365 Copilot.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello and welcome back to Off Screen, then, our final movie of the week. And I actually really like the synopsis to this. It's called Twinless. Now, I always read the synopsis from IMDb, and I know things sometimes get a bit skewed, so you're probably going to correct me. But it says, a young man grieving the loss of his twin brother joins a support group for twinless twins. There's just something quite funny in there for me.
Right. And you know what? You're absolutely right, too. This is an indie dramedy in the truest sense. It's quite a funny movie. You'll get a sense from the clip in a minute of the sort of tone of it. So it stars Dylan O'Brien, from Send Help. Also playing a douchebag here, but sort of a slightly more humble and human one. He is Roman. Roman is a young man who is, I'm not sure if he's returned to New York from another city, I think, because his twin brother, who's a gay man named Rocky, also played by Dylan O'Brien with this ridiculous handlebar mustache, has been killed in a random traffic accident. And he returns to New York to pack up his twin brother's place and, take care of, take care of his businesses, etc. And in doing so, whilst he's there, he goes and joins a support group for twins who have lost their twin. As you say, the twinless twins. Where he meets a young man named Dennis. Dennis is played by James Sweeney, who also writes and directs this. And Dennis tells Roman, I feel for you. I'm in the same position. I lost my twin as well. And they bond over this loss, with Dennis seemingly filling the void left by Rocky in Roman's life, and Roman filling the void left by Dennis's brother in his. So it seems. And an unlikely friendship starts to develop, very naturally between the two. The fact that Dennis is a gay man and Roman is straight initially seems to present this facade of Dennis is seemingly doing it because he's attracted to him, and given what Roman is like, clearly barking up the wrong tree. However, there's something not quite right about Dennis. Something that's going to lead him to a lot of turmoil in terms of keeping this friendship with Roman going. So have a listen. And this is Roman for the very first time addressing conflict with his new friend.
Are you okay?
Can you not laugh at me? I know I'm not like the brightest tool in the shed, but I don't appreciate it.
Yeah, of course, I'm sorry.
If I get something wrong, tell me, because then I can know better.
Would now be a good time to point out, I think you meant to say sharpest tool in the shed?
Yeah.
Maybe you meant to say brightest bulb in the box.
Yeah, maybe that's what I meant.
Oh, I can't figure out what it is you're getting at unless you're going to tell us, or is that a bit of a mystery until you see it?
I think you'll like this. So it's got that tone to it, the sort of indie dramedy tone.
Yeah.
With this much darker kind of Eleanor the Great kind of aspect going to, if you remember us talking about that movie recently with the old lady who sort of accidentally lied and said she was a Holocaust survivor in a support group.
Oh, yeah.
This goes down a similar kind of route with it as to what's really going on. But actually, this works. It's got bags of heart and soul going for it. It's got quite a witty, kind of zippy aesthetic at times as well. Like the way it plays with the edits, and it just adds a level of quirk that I think peppers it, that seasons it really nicely. But I don't say Dylan O'Brien is great in it. Like he's great. Again, this is a case where I have to praise the other person. I feel like I'm shortchanging Dylan O'Brien twice in 1 week. And no, not an actor I've ever really complimented in anything ever before, so it's not like it's a pattern or anything. But again, it's the co-star here who is owning the show. It is James Sweeney as Dennis. I will say, though, O'Brien, if nothing else, this week has proven that he's very consistent support.
Yeah.
Like to co-lead something and prop someone up, he is very, very adept there. But it is James Sweeney's show. I mean, in terms of the performance, but also the directing and the writing as well. It's a charming script. It doesn't, for what it's trying, for the story it's trying to tell, it'd be so easy to tiptoe over and go more into the realm of Eleanor the Great, where it just wasn't realistic. But it works. I don't want to tell you more than that because I feel like it kind of ruins the film when it gets to that. But yeah, I really liked this. I was really charmed by it. I was really sort of, I don't know, won over is the word I think to say. And I was won over quite quickly, I think.
It's listed as like a comedy or dark comedy. Are there any like belly laughs in this?
Oh yeah, there's some good laughs in there. I think they do play with the idea, like, for instance, the double act between the two. Like, for instance, Dylan O'Brien being kind of a dumbass and Dennis actually being a lot sharper. As you can hear in the clip, like, I'm not the brightest tool in the shed. You mean the brightest bulb in the box? Yeah, that one. You know, it's like that kind of thing. There's a lot of that kind of fun wordplay and things in there. I did a few good chuckles at this.
Well, Twinless is out in cinemas from today if you want to check it out. I already know the answer to this, but for the sake of today's podcast, what is your movie of the week, Van?
Oh, Send Help. Effortlessly. Yeah. Effortlessly. I can't wait to see Send Help again. Like, really, I'm dying to go and see Send Help again. I loved it.
All right. Well, what have we got coming up next week, then? Whistle.
Whistle. I think it's a new horror movie. I don't know that much about Whistle, to be honest. I've got a screening booked for it, so I don't know. I'll find out when I get there on that one. We have also got Crime 101, which kind of feels like a January movie that's getting put out in February. It's the new Chris Hemsworth one, like a crime thriller with Halle Berry. So we'll see with that one, I guess. Goat is out next week, which is an animated sports movie about a talking goat. I think he might play basketball, hence the term GOAT, but sure. And of course, you can't have missed this one for all the advertising. Wuthering Heights is upon us. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know what to expect with this because it's Emerald Fennell. So this is just going to be the worst Gap Year Girls version of Wuthering Heights you've ever seen. Like, it goes without saying it's going to be the horniest. Like, you know for a fact this is going to be flat out the horniest version anyone's ever made of Wuthering Heights. But given what Emerald Fennell is like in interviews and the sort of personality she likes to put out into the world of herself, this, as I say, is just going to be the worst Gap Year Girls version of this movie you could possibly fathom. So I'm expecting the worst, but I'm hoping to be surprised.
That's made me really excited to find out what you're going to say about it next week now, to see if you're absolutely right or if you're actually wrong.
That's why we do this, baby, is to build suspense. You know how we roll.
Well, we will see what Van thinks to all of those and more on the show next week. That is, of course, all we have time for on Off Screen this week. We will return next week. Until then, I've been Adam Ball.
I've been Van Connor. Keep it cinematic, and we shall return.